7 foods to improve nerve pain and 5 to avoid if you have neuropathic pain. Did you know that an estimated 50% of people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes have nerve damage or diabetic neuropathy? Today, we're going to have a really important conversation about something that affects so many people: neuropathic pain. We're also talking about a different kind of discomfort, often described in some pretty intense ways, like a burning sensation or that icy, cold feeling that just won't go away. Some people experience it as tingling, like pins and needles that won't quit, or even those sharp, shooting electrical shock sensations. It can also manifest as a deep, throbbing pain or a persistent numbness that makes it hard to feel things properly. These are all classic signs that the pain might be originating from damage or injury to a nerve itself, or somewhere within our intricate neurological system. There are well over 100 different conditions that can potentially lead to this kind of nerve pain. Some of the more commonly recognized ones include peripheral neuropathy, which is a broad term for nerve damage affecting the extremities, the often excruciating pain that can linger after a bout of shingles, the radiating pain of sciatic nerve compression, the tingling and numbness of carpal tunnel syndrome in the wrist, the intense facial pain of trigeminal neuralgia, the varied nerve issues associated with multiple sclerosis, the challenges that can arise after a spinal cord injury, and even persistent pain following a stroke. Now, think of your nerves like delicate pathways that need constant nourishment to function correctly, to regenerate when they're injured, and to generally stay healthy. Just like any other part of our body, the nerves rely on a steady supply of essential nutrients. Interestingly, sometimes the very cause of nerve pain can be a lack of these vital building blocks, or even the presence of certain toxic substances that can irritate or damage our nerve fibers. So in today's video, we're going to delve into 7 specific food groups that you should really consider incorporating into your daily diet if you're dealing with neuropathic pain. These aren't magical cures, but they contain compounds that can significantly support nerve health and potentially ease your discomfort. And because what you don't eat can be just as important as what you do eat, I'll also be outlining 5 food groups that you might want to limit, or even avoid if you're struggling with nerve pain. Make sure you stick around until the end because I'll also be sharing a link where you can download a handy handout that summarizes all of this information, so you can easily print it out and keep it as a reference at home. And before you go, please feel free to share this video with your friends and family who might be experiencing neuropathic pain. Hopefully, this information will offer them some helpful dietary strategies. You should see a share button somewhere on your screen. All right, let's get right into it and talk about some of the best foods you can include in your diet to support your nerves and potentially alleviate neuropathic pain. 7 food groups to embrace for nerve health. Here are 7 key food groups that are packed with nutrients that can be particularly beneficial if you're experiencing nerve pain. 1. Omega-3 fatty acid-rich foods. Think of omega-3 fatty acids as essential building blocks for your brain and the myelin sheath, that protective covering that surrounds our nerves, kind of like insulation on an electrical wire. They play a crucial role in nerve regeneration, especially after an injury. Furthermore, omega-3s are powerful anti-inflammatory nutrients, and we know that inflammation is often a significant player in nerve damage and various nerve-related diseases. To get a good dose of omega-3s, aim to include cold water fish in your diet at least twice a week. Excellent sources include salmon, especially wild-caught, cod, tuna. Light tuna is often recommended over albacore due to mercury levels, sardines, mackerel, and herring. If you're not a big fan of fish, or if you're looking for plant-based options, certain seeds are also rich in omega-3s, particularly chia seeds and flax seeds. You can easily sprinkle these on your yogurt, oatmeal, or add them to smoothies. If you consistently don't eat fish or these specific seeds, you might want to consider supplementing with fish oil or omega-3 capsules. Just be sure to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement. I also have another video that goes into more detail about the wonders of omega-3 fatty acids, so I'll make sure to link that in the description below if you'd like to learn more. 2. Fruits, especially grapes and berries. These vibrant and delicious fruits are packed with antioxidants and other protective substances that can help shield your nerves from further damage. Antioxidants are like tiny bodyguards that fight against harmful free radicals, which can contribute to inflammation and nerve cell damage. By reducing chronic inflammation, these compounds can potentially slow down the process of nerve degeneration. Aim to include a serving of berries or grapes in your diet every day. When it comes to berries, you have a wonderful variety to choose from. Blueberries, blackberries, cranberries, cherries, and strawberries are all fantastic options. For grapes, whether they're green, red, or the darker varieties, they all offer benefits. Beyond berries and grapes, other fruits can also be beneficial. Oranges, for example, are a fantastic source of vitamin C, which is not only important for healing, but also helps to boost your overall immune system. A strong immune system can indirectly support nerve health by helping your body fight off infections that could potentially affect your nerves. 3. Whole grains. When it comes to grains, the key here is to give preference to whole, unprocessed options like brown rice, oats, and quinoa. Grains are essentially the edible seeds of grasses, which we call cereals. While grain products can be processed into flours and other forms, it's generally best to stick with the whole form as much as possible to retain their full nutritional value. Take rice, for example. White rice is a processed and refined grain, which means it loses some of its beneficial nutrients during processing. Brown rice, on the other hand, retains its bran and germ, which are rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals. If you find brown rice's texture or flavor a bit challenging, a good middle ground option is parboiled rice. This type of rice undergoes a special process that helps it retain more nutrients than white rice. Grains are a significant source of many nutrients that are vital for nerve health, including several essential B vitamins. To give you a clearer picture, let's compare the nutritional content of these 3 types of rice in a standard 5.5 ounce or 155 gram serving. Calorie-wise, they're all fairly similar, around the 200 calorie mark. However, when we look at specific B vitamins and minerals, the differences become apparent. Brown rice boasts about 23% of your daily vitamin B1, 25% of vitamin B3, 11% of vitamin B6, 3.5% of vitamin B9, and 14% of magnesium. Parboiled rice offers around 10% of vitamin B1, 23% of vitamin B3, 14% of vitamin B6, just 1% of folate, and 3% of magnesium. White rice, in comparison, provides about 3% of vitamin B1, 4% of vitamin B3, 9% of vitamin B6, 1% of folate, and 7% of magnesium. As you can see, brown rice generally comes out on top in terms of these nerve-supporting nutrients. And as I mentioned earlier, I've prepared a detailed handout for you that breaks down this kind of nutritional information further, which you can download for free from my website at insert website address here. Now, let's not forget that grains are a type of carbohydrate, and carbohydrates are our body's primary source of energy, especially for our brain. Did you know that your brain, despite being a relatively small organ, consumes a whopping 20% of all the energy we get from food? That's why you often feel hungrier when you're engaged in intense mental activities like studying, focusing on a complex task, or even just paying close attention to something important. So, by including healthy whole grains in your diet, you're essentially providing your brain with the fuel it needs to function optimally, which indirectly supports the health of your entire nervous system. 4. Nuts. These little powerhouses are incredibly rich in a wide array of vitamins and minerals, many of which are particularly important for nerve and brain health. They're a fantastic source of various B vitamins, which, as we've discussed, play crucial roles in nerve function and overall neurological well-being. Nuts also provide valuable fiber, those beneficial omega-3 fatty acids we talked about earlier, healthy, unsaturated fats, and they're an excellent source of sustained energy for your brain. There's a wonderful variety of nuts to choose from, each with its own unique nutritional profile. Some great examples include walnuts, which are particularly high in omega-3s, cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts, a fantastic source of selenium, another important nutrient, peanuts, hazelnuts, chestnuts, pecans, and pistachios. Certain vegetables are particularly noteworthy for their nerve-supporting properties. Leafy greens like broccoli, spinach, and kale are rich in alpha-lipoic acid, ALA, a potent antioxidant that has been shown to fight nerve damage and potentially improve nerve function. Potatoes and yams are also good sources of ALA, as well as other anti-inflammatory nutrients. Don't underestimate the power of a colorful plate filled with a variety of vegetables. They provide a wide spectrum of nutrients that can support your nervous system in numerous ways. Now that we've talked about what to include in your diet, let's shift gears and discuss 5 food groups that you might want to limit or even avoid if you're dealing with neuropathic pain. 1. Alcohol. If you're experiencing neuropathic pain, I highly recommend watching my dedicated video about alcohol and pain. Alcohol can actually be a direct cause of peripheral neuropathy, and even if it's not the primary cause of your nerve pain, it can often make other types of nerve pain significantly worse. It can interfere with nerve function and potentially exacerbate inflammation. So, it's generally wise to either abstain from alcohol or significantly limit your intake if you're struggling with nerve pain. 2. High sodium salt. Foods. Limiting your sodium intake is crucial for overall health, and it can be particularly important if you have neuropathic pain. Many people are unaware of just how much hidden salt is in processed foods. If you're not in the habit of carefully reading the nutrition labels of everything you eat, I strongly encourage you to start doing so. You might be surprised at how quickly the sodium adds up throughout the day. The general recommendation is to limit your daily sodium intake to around 2,300 milligrams. High sodium levels can contribute to fluid retention and may indirectly impact nerve health. Be especially mindful of processed snacks, canned goods, fast food, and restaurant meals, as these are often very high in sodium. 3. High sugar foods. Foods that are high in sugar can be particularly problematic, especially if you have diabetes, as diabetes is one of the most frequent causes of peripheral neuropathy. High blood sugar levels can directly damage nerves over time. Therefore, it's best to avoid or significantly limit your intake of white sugar, brown sugar, ice cream, sugary snacks and desserts, and processed foods that often contain hidden sugars. This also includes avoiding sugary drinks like sodas and artificial juices, as well as candies, donuts, cakes, and pies. And I know this might be tough for some of you, myself included, but it's generally advisable to limit your chocolate intake as well, as many commercially available chocolates are high in sugar. Opting for small amounts of very dark chocolate, 70% cacao or higher, might be a slightly better choice in moderation, but it's still something to be mindful of. 4. Unhealthy fats. It's generally a good idea to minimize your consumption of unhealthy fats, especially if you have neuropathic pain. This includes avoiding deep-fried foods and red meat that has a lot of visible fat. While eggs themselves are generally permitted in a healthy diet, it's best to avoid frying them in excessive amounts of oil. Unhealthy fats can contribute to inflammation in the body, which, as we know, can negatively impact nerve health and potentially worsen pain symptoms. Focus on incorporating more healthy fats like those found in avocados, olive oil, and the omega-3 rich fish and nuts we discussed earlier. 5. Excessive caffeine. While a little caffeine might be okay for some, excessive amounts can be problematic, especially if you're dealing with nerve pain. Caffeine is a stimulant that can overstimulate your sympathetic nervous system, potentially leading to tremors, increased irritability, and it can sometimes aggravate nerve pain symptoms. It's also worth checking the labels of any pain medications you might be taking, as some of them already contain caffeine, and you'll want to be mindful of your total daily intake. If you're a heavy coffee or energy drink consumer, and you're experiencing nerve pain, try gradually reducing your intake to see if it makes a difference in your symptoms. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly hope this information has been helpful. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.